Welcome back to Smarter Hospitality Talk. I'm Clayton, and I'm here with episode three, which is one of my actual kind of my most exciting episodes. And I think this is most applicable to everybody in the industry, especially here at the end of 2025. This is from clicks to campfires, humanizing your digital marketing. So I think everybody in the digital world today is utilizing social media some way to market their business, and then also just kind of their digital presence, both on their websites, OTAs, and different places that you're posting your information or listing yourself. So before we get started, again, if this is your very first time tuning in, my name is Klayton Dennis. I'm a hospitality management consultant, and I've been in the industry of hospitality, entertainment, and attractions management for the past 9 years. Do consider myself a jack of all trades because I like to dabble in a little bit of everything, and I think that's a good trait of a leader. Most recently, I've been in general management and operations management, and my passion is marketing and developing small businesses, specifically here in the hospitality industry, really looking at the mom and pop businesses like hospitality side for resorts or mom and pop side for cafes and coffee shops and things of that nature, and finding things that we can connect with big company style with a smaller level and applying it there. And most importantly, one of the biggest passions I have is training and team development. So let's get on to our topic for today. Since it is hospitality, we're going to start with the wake up call. Today's wake up call is really talking about, what I was leading into, which is the current the need and desire of the digital market. There's a lot of artificial intelligence out there that is starting to somewhat wreak havoc on our perception as consumers, but also from the business owner side, trying to connect to our consumers and stay relevant. Perfection doesn't build trust anymore, authenticity does. And that is very true in this situation because we really need to focus less on the content that we're posting, the quality of it, and we need to focus more on what it's actually conveying. We need to build authenticity and trust with our consumer brand through consistency and facts, or basically testimony from guests who've actually experienced it, so that we can stay relevant, we can get that trust, and we can stay authentic. 76% of travelers are more likely to book with brands that feel personal and human. That's according to Deloitte's consumer experience study in 2024. This is really true. I think that even myself, whenever I'm looking for a service or a place to go, the first thing I do is I Google it, and either you use the near me when you're putting a search in for just a generic overview of everything that's around you. Um, but the first thing that I go to is I want to see what your Facebook page looks like. I want to see your website. Does it connect with me? Does it give me an emotional connection? Are your views kind of aligned with what I'm needing? Is it relevant? And then also, are you current? Are you actually posting stuff each and every day? Are there specials today, the day that I'm going in? That's where this comes from. We want to feel that personal connection when we're looking for a business, and that's exactly how your digital marketing has to be in the hospitality industry. Guests today are surrounded by AI generated content, fake reviews, and cookie cutter ads. It really is true because in this world, we try to post as much as we possibly can, because for the past several years, or at least right after the pandemic, that was our best way of reaching our consumers, was staying current on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Um, but really, what we need to focus on now is keeping that momentum, but focusing more on what our message is. What story are we trying to tell? What are we trying to do with this? And the first thing you need to look at is connecting with who you're trying to get into your business. And the current result of what our wake up call is right now is a massive trust gap in hospitality. People don't trust what they see online because there is so much AI. So as we're moving into the colder months here in the United States, winter is approaching. I was really sitting down and brainstorming this idea, and I was like, how can I connect with my viewers and potential clients through something that's easy for us to comprehend and easy for us to break down together and go. And so that's where the topic came from clicks to campfires, because we want to focus less on getting people to our website or getting people through our post and what we're selling, to making it the overall experience count. Make them feel an emotional connection to the product that you are marketing. So that's where the campfire came in. So what is a campfire, or what is our campfire in this talk? It's your story. It's really what is making you connect with your consumers. What do your consumers need that you're trying to convey to them? What are you trying to sell to them? What experience do you want them to have? What is your message, and what is the purpose of your ad? That's the campfire. That's the ingredients that all come together to create that spark, to create the ignition, and create a warm, inviting, and genuine area for people to continue to grow in the industry. And that's really what I like to call the campfire principle. So you add spark, you add fuel, and then oxygen will combine to create a lasting connection. And that's really our goal in anything we do in marketing, whether it's print, digital, or just how we convey our message through branding. The campfire is one of the oldest forms of hospitality, and before there were hotels and resorts or restaurants, and definitely before there was algorithms, there was a fire with some warmth and a place where people gathered to share stories as well as come through and talk through situations and scenarios or even conflicts together. That campfire was a place where ideas were sparked and they then fueled ways of change and progress. And then it created that lasting impact. And to be quite honest, that is all hospitality is. It's a place where creating a space where people feel safe, seen, and connected. And that's what we have to do through everything that we do through marketing is you have to make it seem safe and true and honest. You have to get seen, so it has to be something that relates to me and makes a emotional connection, and then you've got to keep people connected through consistency and through making sure that you continue to value their trust and their opinions and their viewpoints. So the campfire principle continued on: hospitality is connection, marketing should be too. So with hospitality, you want warmth. Whenever I walk into a restaurant, I want to feel that I'm genuinely cared about. So whenever I sit down at the table and the server comes up and they actually have a personality, that's what I like to call warmth. It's not necessarily how good your food is in today's times, it's how I feel valued as a customer coming in. Your employees really do make your brand through the warmth that they create, and then the environment that you're in. So the experience overall, from the decor, from the setup, from the storyline that you're trying to portray through your products and your plating, that's what really creates that warmth, and that's what equals hospitality. For your marketing side of it, it has to be an invitation. You want people to click more. You want people to come and see your business. You don't want to give it all away, but more you want to basically cast the hook and have them reel it in to where they are wanting to make a connection with you. And then once we get that connection, we have to ensure that we keep that loyalty and that momentum going. We've got to continue to fire up people to keep wanting to come back. So again, hospitality equals warmth, marketing equals invitation, connection equals loyalty. Your spark is your why. So when you're trying to come up with a new marketing strategy, what are we trying to do? What is it? How is it? Who is it? Why? It's the reason why you exist as a business, but also it's the reason why your marketing campaign exists. What are you trying to do with it? The fuel is your consistency. So, how often you post, the type of content you're using, the amount of places that you're consistently posting to, and then also you're keeping up and you're staying current with everything, with all your listings all across the board. With fuel, it's going to be your consistency overall, and a fire only lasts if you keep adding the logs to it. So in the logs, that would be our post, that would be our paid advertisement, that would be our flyers, that would be anything that we're trying to add into our marketing campaign for it to continue to fuel that overall campfire, if you will. And then the oxygen is your people. If your people don't buy into it, if your people don't react to it, and if they don't show up for it, then you have no fire. Your fire will go out. You have no oxygen. You literally are suffocating yourself. If your marketing focuses on selling, 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 and it never actually makes a connection, then you will lose a lot of people. You'll lose that genuine intrigue, if you will. So you have to focus on your people, and that goes from both marketing and from an operations side. If you lose your people, then you have no business, you have no money, you have no revenue. There is no reason for existence. You've got to take care of your people. You've got to create that warmth and hospitality. You've got to invite them in through your marketing, and you've got to make a connection with them so that they will stay loyal to you. So, is your campfire burning? The biggest thing that you have to ask is, from the warmth side of this, are you consistent? Um, is the light glowing? Is the light, bright? Is your storytelling, is it capturing your audience? Is it providing light in the darkness, or in the cluster of everything that we see in social media or from a Google search? Are you actually shining light on who you are, and is your story being portrayed through that? The smoke is how far is it reaching? So from an actual campfire, you build the fire, the smoke starts to go up. How far are you wanting to reach? How far are you actually reaching? That's very important whenever we are building a campaign and we're keeping that campaign going. The next thing is sparks. How many guest shares are you getting? How many stories? How many reviews? How many tags with photos and fun and inviting actions that they're wanting to share with your viewers? How many of those are you getting? Are you getting any sparks? And then finally, the marshmallows, which is the reward of that connection that you're getting. Do you have any marshmallows? Is it just a total waste of your marketing budget, or are you completely lost in the translation and it's not picking up anything? Just always remember, you don't build audiences, you build campfires. And through this, we're wanting to create warmth, we're wanting to create light, we're wanting to get reach. So we want that smoke from our campfire to travel as far as we can so we can capitalize on this marketing. And then also, we want sparks to be created. We want people to make connections with what our marketing says or what our overall experience is. Without sparks, it's literally just a one hit wonder. So they will keep scrolling, they won't pay attention to it, and they definitely won't tune back in. But if you make connections and people come and they actually share their experience at your business, then they will then take those sparks and it will spark and ignite more fires, which will bring more people into your business overall. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my story. The one example I'm going to do is what I like to call caves and beyond. Um, I like to come up with this topic of this story because I feel like this is something that I've done really well, and the best thing I can do is give you an example of how I've done it. I worked for a cave at Lake of the Ozarks back. I started in 2022. Stayed with them a year, but I was looking for a way to capitalize on it because we had four commercial show caves in that area, so it was a big competitive market. Billboards were everywhere from our competitors. We had, a little small supply of billboards, but a more majority of our marketing was either word of mouth, a Google search, or it was through social media. So I've quickly come to realize that I needed to create something that would create a campfire, that would spark a buzz, that would shine light on that we are one of the best caves of the Ozarks, and then also it would keep people coming back and then fuel through energy. So the best thing with that is I wanted to stay consistent. I wanted to have authenticity, and I wanted engagement out of it because that's all you need in marketing is you have to have engagement. If people aren't sharing your post, if they're not liking your post, if they're not using a click through and they're going to your website to purchase the tickets, then your marketing isn't effective. It's pointless. So the big thing is I changed how we viewed our social media. I didn't just use it as, hey, we're open today, come and buy a tour, but I wanted to showcase what set us apart, what made us unique or what we did well, which is real photos of the cave, the wildlife, the guests, the laughter that my staff had, recognizing my staff, recognizing good reviews that the guests had given us, and then also highlighting some of the events and unique things that our cave offered that no other cave in the area did. But the big thing that really I figured out that I needed to capitalize on was in marketing, there's a lot of times with competitors is you always want to be number one. We want to be the best because that's what people look for. They want to get the best, the biggest bang for their buck, basically. They want to go with the best choice. And if you're not number one on the top of the list, then necessarily you may not give that relevance and you may not get that connection with them. So I wanted to figure out what do we do well that other people, that really does set us apart from our competitors. So I started going through Google and Yelp and TripAdvisor and Facebook, and I really started to analyze our stats with our ratings. And I noticed a consistent pattern, and these were 100% honest and true. A review was never deleted, it was never altered, it was all organic. Guests giving us feedback through all of our platforms. And consistently across the board on all of my platforms, I was between 4.8 and 4.9 stars out of 5. That was big because even my competitors were struggling. They were at like 4.2, 4.5. So that was what really set us apart. So then I expanded the search all across about a 500-mile radius. So I looked at caves all across Missouri in my industry, looked at caves all across Arkansas, and I looked at caves all across the surrounding states of that. And one thing that I picked up on is either they didn't entice people consistently to go and review them, or the reviews struggled because of how many that they had, or because they weren't consistent with their marketing. Ours spoke volumes because we consistently between 4.8 and 4.9 on all platforms, and I wanted to capitalize on that. So in 2023, I launched our campaign for all of our billboards, all of our social media posts. I changed out our logo. So any post or any print marketing came out with this slogan on it, but it was Missouri's top rated cave experience. Now, before we rush into this too much, because I did get pushback from one of my competitors that I was actually pretty good friends with. And they're like, well, but you're not the best cave. Well, I'm not saying that at all. And that was where I wanted to be strategic with it. I wanted to be completely honest, transparent, and I didn't want to tell something that wasn't true because I'm going to be really honest with you. My cave was not the best. It was not the prettiest. It didn't have the best formations, and it wasn't the largest cave in Missouri. It was actually very small. But what we did well is we made connections with our guests through education, engagement, and entertainment to where we created a unique experience. And that's what people were saying about us. That wasn't something that we were making up. That was what consistently, through words, through basically it filtering through every rating, that's what we were getting through our reviews. So that was a no brainer for me that I had to kick that off. And with this campaign, I wanted to be very strategic and I didn't want to, again, say something that wasn't correct. So I wasn't saying that I'm the best or the number one or anything like that. I was saying that we were the top rated cave experience because we were. Out of all caves across Missouri, we had the top rating on all of our platforms. And that was the consistent message that I flowed through on all of our channels. Now, with this, I even changed out the employees' name tags to where right underneath our logo, it had Missouri's top rated cave experience because that's how important it was to me. With that, in quarter two of 2023, we had 25% higher attendance than we've ever had. And in quarter two, that's one of the most difficult ones here in Missouri because of the weather. Usually that's the cold first start of spring and our really struggle because people are still in school. Tourism is a little bit low right after that time because it's post tax time. It was a struggle for us. So it was really showing us that 25% higher attendance was based off of all of our new marketing and our consistency through everything, our website, our socials, our all of our listing pages. Every day there was something posted or changed or updated to where we stayed relevant, we stayed current, we were authentic, we were consistent, and we engaged with our audience. And it's not just the cave, it's everywhere that I've been. I've tried to focus on real photos. I want to take photos that are actually at your location. While stock images are great and a lot of places don't have the budget to have a professional photographer come in, I'm telling you right now, throw that idea out the window. Just take your phone, take some nice photos, take a picture of the plate of food, take a picture of an animal that's in your petting zoo, and roll with it because that's where people gain traction. That's where your marketing sparks and ignites customers to come in because they want to do it. Same thing with the state park that I managed and helped open up in Kirksville, Missouri. We had a lakeside grill, and one of my favorite entrees was the chicken fried chicken. And we had a really amazing cook that could make pretty much any side vegetable taste like a Michelin star restaurant. They were wonderful, absolutely high quality food, but we needed to get that information out. And so just remember that your eyes are your best marketing tool. So if your photos look realistic, they're not photoshopped, they're not edited, and they're not stock. It's real photos in the moment. Hey guys, come out and try our special today. Here's a photo of it. That's what's going to get people in the door. If you want to upsell boat rentals, then you need to post a picture of you on a boat or a customer enjoying one of your boats out on your lake, not a stock image. If you are open now and it's snowing, then you need to take a photo of the snow and say, here, we're open. Come and enjoy the beautiful scenery out of the state park. And then finally, if you have a sales goal and you're trying to increase your sales of a certain item, which at Start Caverns it was geode sales. All of our tour guides, after they get off their tour, if they sold geodes and help the guests crack the geode, then they got commission off of that. So not only was it a driver for our team, but it was also a driver for our business. So we took realistic photos of the geodes on a hay bale right next to where the old time truck that was kind of our centerpiece when you walked up, and that captured. This is real. This is right where I'm going to be going. This is something cool that I could do. These are real geodes that have been cracked. This is awesome. This is something that makes a connection with them, and it's real, it's authentic, and it's engaging. So, what is real marketing? Real marketing isn't about budgets, it's about behavior. So, whenever we're looking at a marketing campaign, we need to not focus on how much we want to spend on it or how much we want to make, but we need to focus on what are we trying to do here? What behavior are we trying to to encourage. So when you build a campfire around it, you need to make sure that it's warm, it's an inviting, and it's conducive to whatever behavior you're wanting to ensue from it. So you want to make sure that your products are highlighted. So if you want people to buy drinks by the pool, then you need to focus on posts that give them reasons to have drinks by the pool. Talk about how it's relaxing. Talk about how the pool is open for your enjoyment. That's exactly how I did this with Missouri's top rated cave experience. It worked because it's something that guests were already making connections to. They were already saying it. All that I did was I just amplified it. So basically, I went through all of our reviews. I figured out that we are the top rated cave through all the platforms. And so I ran with it and it totally worked because it made a connection. It was something that people could go and actually find truth on, and they made that authenticity and trust that those guests are saying what is true, and then it made for real marketing. It was cut dry to the point, real as you can get, because if you don't believe me, go ask what the guests are saying. So you really do have to identify with real marketing, what are your guests saying? What are your guests needing? What are your guests wanting? And then look at your reviews and shape it around that. If they love the spinach dip in your restaurant, then you should probably put posts around the spinach dip. You should probably focus on, if guests are complimenting how beautiful your resort is and how relaxing it is, that's the type of campaign, if you're wanting to be real with your marketing, you need to focus on. So keep it real. You need to use real testimony. So use those reviews, both positive and negative. We should use them as a learning and way, because that's what your guests are going to do. They're going to go check your reviews, see what people have been saying before they try you. If they say that your food is terrible, you're probably not going to have a good, experience with guests coming and trying your food. If they say that your hotel is not clean, it's the worst stay that they've ever had, that's probably what your impression is going to be with new potential customers. But if you're using real testimony of people who say you have a relaxing, beautiful, hospitable resort, or your food is absolutely amazing and the server Joe was wonderful, then that's giving them a connection to something that's real. You're using real photos and real videos from your actual property. You're not using stock images. And better yet, why don't you share some of those photos that have been used in your reviews and use them in your marketing? It's as easy as sending that person a message asking them if it's okay and getting their permission to use their photo, which 9 times out of 10 they're okay with. Next thing is, your staff are your brand, so use them. So like I was saying, Joe got a good compliment because he's wonderful server. Use them. Take a picture of Joe holding a plate of the spinach dip. Use that to your advantage, because that's a real tangible person that works in your business. That's someone that your guests make a frontline connection to. Always remember, in everything that we do with marketing and how we look at our facilities, the eyes are the best lie detector. If your reviews are terrible and they have tangible information in there of giving that Joe is a horrible server and your spinach dip is out of a can, that's the best indicator, because they're going to pinpoint that that's the truth. Your photo of a photoshopped spinach dip that came from a Michelin star restaurant, but then you're a fast casual, that is a best lie. That people pick up on that. You cannot fool the eyes. So always try to center that around it. Give something like the campfire that's on this slide here. Make something that's warm and inviting and gives you a reason to want to go and sit by it, or wanting to come and visit your business. And then finally, does it make me feel warm? Are you just trying to sell something, or are you trying to make a connection? Are you making it genuinely interesting and genuinely inviting to where people actually want to come in and enjoy your experience? So let's give some examples here. This is just an example post, but escape to our cozy cabins this weekend. Book your stay today at www.lakewoodcabins.com. This is limited availability. Also, quick disclaimer, I don't know if Lakewood Cabins is actually a place, but this is not anything related. This is just a quick, just throw together something. If you are Lakewood Cabins and this offends you, please let me know. It's literally just generic. I didn't actually visit any place. I don't know of a Lakewood Cabins. So this is just a generic post, but I wanted to use it as an example of what not to do. So with this is a sales pitch. You're trying to get quick click results, and there's honestly nothing wrong with this, but this is not going to stoke the campfire. This is not going to create a warm engagement. This is a I need sales, I need to fill my cabins, you know, this doesn't really make any emotional connection with me. Also, it has a stock image in the background. It doesn't actually align with what you're wanting to do. So the big thing that we need to look at when we're creating posts is we need to make an emotional connection. Something that evokes motion, it makes peace, nostalgia, or relaxation. It turns the cabin and the experience into a feeling. We make a connection. It's kind of like when you walk into a movie theater and you smell popcorn. What does that make you want to do? It makes you want to go buy popcorn. It is a psychological thing that we do involuntarily that makes us change a sense into an emotion or a desire or a need. And that's exactly what we're doing with digital marketing is we're taking tangible words and maybe a video clip or a photo and we're trying to invoke an emotion out of it, and that's what sells. That's what people want. They want to feel good. They want things to feel relaxing whenever they're reading it. They don't want you to just do a sales pitch all the time. And it's okay to have those little sales pitch every once in a while because we do need to in the industry. But most all of your posts that you're trying to build a campfire around need to invoke some kind of emotion or portray something that is real. So this post, you see the raindrops coming from the tin roof. The rain hit the tin roof just as our guests settled by the fireplace. One of them said, "It's been years since I slowed down enough to hear rain like this." That's what weekends here are for: slowing down, reconnecting, and breathing again. So we're coming up into kind of the late fall or first part of fall here in Missouri, and the best thing I can say is those rainy, dreary days. The first thing I want to do is curl up next to a fireplace. So this is invoking an emotion. But when you place this ad, you should definitely place it whenever the weather is going to be dark and gloomy and cold, because this is going to invoke warmth. This is going to, as they read it, this is not only giving them real testimony, but this is also making a connection to your product. And it's also giving them almost like a question of, well, I want to sit by a fire. Where can I go to sit by a fire? Well, boom, here's your product. There's your need. You just established it. You invoked an emotion because it feels warm and inviting and relaxing. So the biggest thing in marketing is we always want to try to tell a story. Again, there's what I like to refer to as clickbait, and there's also what I like to refer to as a campaign. And in a campaign, you're formatting what you're trying to sell through many different storylines. You're trying to build relevance, you're trying to build momentum behind a goal. So with this, we need to understand what our story is. So what your guests are wanting to hear or what your guests are saying about your business is really your story. So real marketing turns your day-to-day into storytelling. We should always focus on emotions first because that's what ignites our campfire, is that emotional connection to it. We need to have personality with it. So show who's behind the business, who works for you, what the guests look like when they come, or share actual guest photos. We need to be consistent. So the same voices everywhere. We don't want to have conflicting information about, this post today is going to be about a drunken card fest that's coming up next weekend. And then 2 days later, we want to have a relaxing, elegant wedding venue. It doesn't work. It does in some realms, but it really doesn't because it's just clickbait. You're just throwing stuff up there because these are the areas that you're wanting to produce, but you're not ever making a connection. You're not ever engaging the audience that you want to bring in authentic and emotional connection to your product and continue to make memories with, because that's all about what it is in hospitality, is making memories that you want people to continue repeating. And finally, participation. You want to invite guests to share their stories and to tag the business and to check in when they get to your business on social media, because that's the best organic and as real as it gets, because you have no control over it. They can post pictures of a horrible plate of food. You don't have control over it, but it's how do you recover from that? That's the biggest part here. So you want that authentic participation from your guests because that's more powerful than a paid campaign can ever be. Emotional content performs 2 times better in engagement and 3 times better in conversion than rational or informational content. So, with this, if you're making emotional connection like the tin roof and raining and the fireplace on a cold fall or winter day, that's going to make a connection that I can't make through just putting an infographic up of, hey, come and lay by the fireplace, book now, occupancy is low. Um, And this fact is from Nielsen Consumer Neuroscience in 2024, and it really is true. You have to make an emotional connection in everything that you do to grow that campfire or to even establish the campfire, and you want it to keep going. So you need to tell your story. But so here's some post ideas that I really like. I've used these before. Um, these are how you really retrain your brain to when you're making the post. You don't want to just say, "Hey, we have a cabin available. Book now. It's going to go fast." Or have your wedding here because this is a really beautiful place. This is what so and so said. No, you want to make your text short, sweet, to the point because people don't read. Number one, but the number two, you want to make it as impactful as you possibly can. But you also want to try to incite a connection to where people engage more and dig for more information. So here's a couple examples, a moment from today that made us smile. This is something that your staff could be like taking a picture of them doing something silly behind the counter that, or, there's an activity that kids were carving pumpkins out in the courtyard. Those are things that you can share photos of. And then this makes an impact because look, this is what you could be doing if you came and joined us here at our resort. Here's what the guests never see but makes their experience amazing. This is where you focus on staff. Your staff are big key players. So whenever you've got some hardworking staff that are having fun while they're folding laundry, or they're singing and they're having kind of like a impromptu karaoke fest in the laundry room while they're folding sheets or linens or things like that, take a picture of it. Take a little video clip of it because that's real. That's honest. That's what's actually happens behind the scenes. And here's a secret to you: people love behind the scenes. They want to know what happens behind the curtain because of two things. Number one, they want to see, number one, how clean your facility is and what it looks like behind the scenes. They also want to know if your staff are genuinely happy where they work because that makes me feel happy. And then number three, we always have a genuine interest of how does it work? What goes on behind the scenes? Who works behind the scenes? How does this engine keep moving? Where are all the gears at? People want to see behind the curtain. So show them, but use your staff to show that. This dish started as a staff favorite. Always capitalize on what your staff love to eat because that's potentially one of your best entrees, or your best sides or something like that. Always capitalize on that. Our town has a hidden gem. Here's why we love it. So this is good for making community connections. So if you are a resort in a lake town and there's a marina that has a new houseboat, then that's something that's really cool. Or maybe you're a restaurant located in a historic downtown and you have a courthouse that is over 100 years old and it's beautiful. That's something that can make an emotional connection and lure people in to your business. All of these that I'll go down through here, I'm not going to read every one of them, but these are great examples of how we can make an emotional connection. We can be real with how we word things and with our post, but most importantly, we can entice people to come in and create that spark that will keep them coming back to our campfire. Now, there is a big part of digital marketing that everyone needs to understand and use. I see a really big negative pattern lately of businesses. You don't really know what your brand is. You think that putting the logo and taking pictures or little video clips all the time, you think that's your brand, but in reality, you don't really showcase what you really are wanting to portray. One of these examples is I've worked for a resort that has a lot of different options, and this is a generic example, but they have a lot of different options. They've got activities, they've got restaurants, but multiple restaurants. They've got different ways that you can stay. But the problem is their marketing is focusing more on local engagement because they're focusing more on nightlife. They're focusing on game nights, and they're focusing on dancing, and they're focusing on the food. That's all good and fine, but the problem is you're not making connection with your customers that are the ones that are going to be coming and spending more revenue. While your locals are extremely important and pivotal to all of your business, the people who are coming in, the transient guests who we're trying to target through our marketing, is who we have to focus on. Those transient guests need to have a campfire built for them so that they see the business, they have the light, they see the smoke because you are actually getting that range that you're wanting to with it, and then they're making an emotional connection to your brand because you're staying consistent with it. Everybody talks about marketing, but very few people talk about identity, and that's exactly what I'm on this soapbox for. what is your identity? What are you wanting to be? Are you wanting to be a bougie resort where people can come and live their best life and drive a Mercedes and post pictures of them in a $500,000 cabin or something like that? Or are you wanting to be a down to earth family destination that has fun in its middle name, that everything is centered around the family? There's things for everyone in the family to come in and do. Those are two very contrasting things that we have to focus on. Which one are we? What is our identity? What are we wanting to do? And then you have to build from that. But the biggest thing is when you define your brand, that is more than just the colors and the logos. It's the behavior and the emotion that you're trying to instill through all of your branding, through all of your marketing, through all of your staff. Your look, your tone, and your service should match always. Inconsistency confuses the guest. So if one day you're promoting this event and the next day then you're promoting this pizza and the next day you're focusing on this cabin, you're not ever building any consistency. So that's why when I create a marketing strategy campaign calendar, I focus on how can I make the most impact with not only our behavior but our emotion, but then also we're giving that product the best possible chance we can to make a connection. You need to stick with the same thing and stay consistent with it instead of bouncing around all the time, because that's where people tend to lose their interest with the potential consumers. And again, consistency is always going to build recognition and trust. 87% of consumers say brand consistency across platforms influences their trust, according to the Eldman Trust Barometer in 2024. So we need to focus on how our campfire, or what our campfire really is, but more importantly, what is our brand? Who are we targeting? What is our target guest? What's our demographic? And then more importantly, how do we keep that flow? How do we audit ourselves? And so I use a 6 step audit that I look at every business that I consult with or every business that I've worked on. And this is how I evaluate their marketing and their placement to ensure that they're making the best impact. The first point is social media presence. So this is what most of your consumers are going to. The most popular one right now is TikTok. Second would be Instagram. Third would be Facebook. There is a lot of focus on TikTok videos. There's a lot of focus on TikTok advertisement and product placement. Um, I personally think that that's about to change. I think because there's a lot of AI influenced videos that are fake and people don't know, and it's very hard to figure out if it's real or not on TikTok. So I think that there is a constant need for multiple platforms, and you have to be consistent across all of them. Brands that post with a consistent tone and visual identity see 33% higher engagement rate across all their platforms, according to Sprout Social Index this year. Second one is guest reviews and replies. So I look at your reviews. I look at all the good, the bad, the ugly, the weird ones that don't really make any sense. And then I look at how you replied to them. I also look at patterns. If you have nothing but positive reviews, I know you're deleting reviews. It is 99.9% truth that you do not have all 100% positive reviews. Even the Cave that had a 4.8 and 4.9 rating across all of our platforms, we had negative reviews. And when I'm saying negative reviews, I'm not just meaning like 1 star reviews. I'm talking about things that are under 4 stars. So 3, 2s, and 1s. Those are ones that I want you to focus on in your operations and reply to them. Businesses that reply to reviews within 24 hours earn 12% higher average ratings and 16% more repeat bookings, according to TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is one of the most leading ones. If you're not on TripAdvisor, you've got to get there. Number one, because that's where people plan their destinations from. They go and they look at real data from your guests, what they felt, what they see, interest in the area. Also, you can plan your trips on there as well. The next thing too is TripAdvisor gives you badges at the end of the year. So if you're the top 10 in your area, you get a badge to put on your Facebook page. We use that consistently at the Cave that I manage. Third is website accuracy. It is 2025. Yes, most people just go quickly to your social media from the Google search after they've looked at the reviews on Google or Yelp or TripAdvisor. Then they go to your website and they want to figure out how easy it is for them to get information. They want to see prices right there, cut, dry, to the point prices, nothing special, not jumping through 15 different pages to find it. They want easy, straight to the point. They don't want to read a lot. They want it to be dead on straight right there in front of them. 57% of users won't recommend a business with a poorly designed and outdated website, according to Adobe Digital in 2024. Next one is OTAs. So these are where you list. So like booking.com, Guesty, or Airbnb, a lot of the travel sites or booking sites that you're going to be posting on, or that your property management system is going to link to post your availability. These listings have to match what you're trying to portray. So all your photos, all of your information, your hours, everything has to be up to date. It has to be seamless across all platforms. So I look at the OTAs very heavily, and I want to make sure that they're updated and that they're current and that they've got reviews on them, and that you're responding to your reviews on there, because that's where I'm going to be making my booking from. That's 9 times out of 10 in 2025 where your property management system takes people from, is from those OTAs and listing sites. So OTA listings with updated, consistent photos and descriptions see 29% higher conversion rates according to Booking.com partner data in 2024. The next level is review sites and maps. So now this is the big one, because how do I get to your business? And so people are going to maps on their phones, they're going to Google Maps, they're trying to figure out what's around you, and you'll get conversions off of people searching for something else because you pop up on there. You're relevant because you're within a mile radius, or you're on the map whenever they drive by. So then they're curious and they want to figure out information. 50%, 56% of all hospitality searches begin on Google Maps or business profiles, according to Google Travel Insights in 2025. And then finally, guest engagement. This is where I start to audit how your business is being perceived by your guests, by how many people tagged, checked in, or shared your posts. These are pivotal. This is free organic advertisement that you are not technically paying for. These are people that are giving you genuine, honest feedback, and they're giving you genuine, honest advertisement through their conversion of, they went and shared your post, they went and liked your post, and then they shared it on their page. Or better yet, they commented on your post with a photo of them there yesterday eating whatever you're trying to showcase. And then vice versa, they're tagging themselves and posting a video of their family's vacation, or they're posting videos from their family's vacation or their experience at your destination. Posts featuring real guest stories or staff photos generates 4 times more shares and 3 times longer viewing time, according to Meta, which is obviously Facebook, Instagram, all the big ones there in 2025. So let's talk about the cost of no campfire. When the fire goes out, so does connection. And it really is true. Whenever you don't have a campfire, or you don't have a story, or you don't really have a roadmap for what you're trying to market, then you're lost yourself in translation. Guests stop feeling connected, reviews become colder, shorter, and less emotional. Marketing turns into noise, not storytelling. Teams lose pride and consistency because they're not seeing the positive feedback or any feedback at all. They're not seeing their themselves in your marketing. And then growth turns reactive instead of organic. That's where those clickbait, hey, book a cabin now, we have availability this weekend, that's where those posts come from. When connection fades, repeat bookings drop by up to 42%. When your brand loses warmth, it also loses visibility. The algorithm stops showing you. And I have a totally different talk. It's going to be in an upcoming episode about the algorithm and how you can navigate through that. So stay tuned. That's a long one. I didn't want to include it in this one. But the algorithms, they really do stop showing you. And that's how the whole system is designed now, is by an algorithm. And if you're not being by it, and you're not being shown by the algorithm, then you're not relative in today's time. And it's scary how simple that an algorithm can overlook you with just a single word in your text, or a missing word in your text. Guests stop talking about you, bookings drop, not because people don't like you, but because they don't see you. So that's the cost of not having a campfire. So let's focus on the power of alignment. Your fire depends on alignment. If your brand is mismatched to what you're trying to portray, or what guests will actually experience, it will cause a meltdown. If you're portraying that you're a family friendly destination, but then every one of your posts or your ads or your events is focused around boozy parties, then you're failing to meet and match your market that you're marketing. So then you're going to get upset. You're going to people that are angry because they brought their family there, and then you're having a wet t-shirt contest. That's the fact of the matter. That actually does happen. I've worked with some clients that's happening. The next thing is upscale dining is what you're advertising, but when they get there, you're getting literally food out of the freezer that went into a fryer and then onto a plate. There is nothing fine dining or upscale dining about it. That causes frustration. That causes them to question, why did I pay that much if I'm just going to get what I can get down the street at the fast food restaurant? And the next thing, you have to identify what level of accommodation are you? Are you marketing as a hotel, but in reality, you are giving motel standards because your cleanliness is down, your staff are not friendly, it's hard to get booked, and then also you have transient people that are roaming around your business. Those are things that you have to focus on. If you mismatch and you're not aligned to what your campfire really needs to be, or what your campaign really needs to be, and what your brand is, and what your experience is meant to be, then you will cause negative feedback. 70% of negative reviews mention they didn't match expectations according to TripAdvisor business review data in 2024. It's 100% true. If I show up to a resort and you've been showing me like it's like the Sands Resort and it's absolutely beautiful, and then I show up and it's just some Jamaican guy that's wanting to braid my hair at a public beach, it totally causes frustration, and it didn't match my expectations. I'm definitely going to tell other people because I don't want them to get looped into the same trap. It is contagious. So make sure you understand and you're aligned with what your story is, what your experience actually is, and be real, honest, and transparent and authentic with it. Mismatch marketing doesn't just fail, it backfires. It turns curiosity into skepticism, and it tells guests that your story might not be true. So let's talk a little bit about the breakdown. What do my guests want to stoke the fire? You really have to focus in 2025 and then now moving into 2026 on being real, being truthful, being honest of what your product is. If you have problems staffing and you have long wait times, you need to create that expectation before they arrive. You do not want them to say that the service was terrible, they were short staffed, it was horrible, because that's what happens in today's times. That's real reviews that businesses get. How do you create an experience to where they don't feel like they're waiting for it? And that's something that's in a totally different topic that we will discuss in another episode, which is how to build an experience rather than a service. Does your experience match what you're marketing? That's huge here. You have to make sure that you're matching what you're marketing. Does your marketing catch the emotions and not just the attention? You want to always try to catch an emotion. You want to build a true idea around what you're trying to market and make them feel it, make them want and genuinely feel like they care about what you're marketing. Who do I want to start fires with? And when I'm saying this, this sounds like a negative, but it's not. It's what are their needs? So, am I trying to target families because I want to have a safe family destination to where the kids can come and run through the whole resort, and mom and dad don't have to worry because they can go to the spa and know that the activities department will help them? Or am I wanting to make it an adults only where there is no kids and my marketing is going to center around that? The next thing is, what are my goals whenever I create these campfires or I create these marketing campaigns and storylines? What is my goal here? Am I wanting to increase revenue? Am I wanting to increase occupancy so that my revenue indirectly increases? Am I wanting to sell items in my gift shop? Or am I wanting to increase how many people come and show up for our dinner service each and every night? Those are the things you have to know what your goals are before you start to build your campfire. And focus on one thing at a time. I cannot say this enough. Whenever you're marketing, don't try to throw six different things into one post. Focus on one thing effectively and then give it a day. Don't post again about it for another day. And then follow up with another post that's on the same topic about a day later or 2 days later that really strikes at home, but connects to it. They make an emotional connection to it. But our consumers, their attention span is very limited right now. On average, about every consumer spends about 3 seconds actually analyzing information. If it doesn't capture their emotions or it doesn't capture their need, then they're going to move on to the next post. So focus on one thing at a time and do it well, and always try to strike up an emotion. All right, so we're here at the end of our talk, and this is what I like to refer to as the smarter shift. These are skills and talk tools or questions that's going to make you think better as a leader or an owner of your business. And so today's smarter shift is I want you to conduct an audit, the 6 point audit, and audit your campfire. So, how do you currently score using those 6 points of the 6 point audit? What are your most common reviews that you receive, both positive and negative? Find those correlations. I want you to go through all of your reviews on at least 3 sites if you're hopefully listed on more than 3 sites. And I want you to take the most consistent thing that you see. I want a positive and I want negatives. And those are the things that you need to focus on. Does your marketing match the experience? So if your guests are saying that food is cold when it comes out, don't put on your marketing that you have hot piping soup. For the special tonight, because that's obviously not going to be true, and then that's going to create some negativity there, and that's just an example. But you have to take notes of these things so that you can improve on it, but also so that you can hone in on if your marketing is working and if you're staying relevant and current, as well as all of your content across all the sites are consistently accurate and very current to today's times. Pick the most recent guest tag or review. And then how can you reach more by using their posts? So I want you to go to your reviews, go to your social media, and find who tagged you most recently. And I want you to evaluate that. Look at their photos, look at their videos, look at their text, whatever it is that they've done or tagged at your location, and see what they're saying about you. See what their photos portray. Is that actually what you want them to be portraying? Because if not, then maybe your campfire isn't aligned to what they're wanting to do. So overall, this talk has been about us really working on our marketing to focus more on the emotion and being more honest and transparent and truthful and real with our marketing. Because in 2026, that's where our consumers are going. They see AI every single day on pretty much every post and any outlet, and they're trying to figure out what's real and what's a lie. And so in this situation with your marketing, you have to stay real, honest, and transparent, and you have to be really good at building that campfire to make a genuine emotional impact. You want people to feel an emotion so that they make a genuine connection to you and continue to spark that fire to continue the longevity of your business and your marketing campaign. This has been Smarter Hospitality Talks. It's been a pleasure working and talking with you. Please make sure to put comments in the comment section. I'd love to hear your input and advice. Maybe even give some ideas on how you're handling your campfire at the moment. And I'd love to see and share some of your guest feedback as well that you use in your smarter shift on our comment section as well. If you'd love to reach out and find out more about HospIQ, go to Smarter Hospitality Talks on our YouTube page, and then click the link for HospIQ. Smarter Hospitality starts here. This has been Klayton. Have a great rest of your day.